Welcome to the Blind Android Users channel. This is your source for everything Android, tutorials and demos, all from a blindness perspective. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content like this.
Hello and welcome to episode 69 of the Blind Android Users podcast. I'm Ed Green and I'm joined today by my co-hosts Warren Carr, Austin Pinto, Fee Dunn and Doug Cameron, and we're recording on Saturday the 2nd of April 2022. We have our usual announcements from Austin. Then in our Android Basics section, we leave behind the Google Assistant and app settings and move on to notifications. In our App of the Week section this week, Brandon Hennis has recorded a demonstration of the alternative Telegram client, Nekogram. And we conclude with Warren's highlights from Talkback. Well, it's good to be back after a couple of weeks. Our clocks have finally moved forward, and to celebrate daylight savings time, we've had snow this week, just before Easter. Doug, what's going on?
Not a whole lot. It's getting pretty melty, pretty mucky here. So, I guess that means spring's right around the corner, so I'm pretty happy.
Austin, are you still homeless?
Yeah, I'm still homeless and it's getting very warm here. I don't know when this summer is going to end, so I'm just waiting for it to end.
Fee, what's happening in another bit of West London?
Oh, it's lovely. We've had a bit of rain and it has been a bit cold, and yes, there's been some snow, but today we've had quite a lot of sunshine. It's still cold, but yeah, I enjoyed a nice sunny walk and sat in the garden for a few minutes and then came in because it was raining. I'm enjoying the longer nights. I do like that. I think we should stay on British summertime all year round, actually. And yeah, I was busy last week doing a music rehearsal of a choir thing, and 2 weeks before that, I was doing a rehearsal of all kinds of different music. I just didn't realise that the US's clocks had changed because they have to be different, don't they?
Well, they had to jump the gun, didn't they?
They did. I mean, some of us can wait for these things, but it's nice to be back today.
Yes. And is that longer nights or longer nights out that you enjoy?
More just nights at the moment and daylight because the COVID's quite high, so I'm not. I am going out a bit, but perhaps not as much as I would have done 3 years ago.
Ah. And Warren, what's happening in your neck of the woods?
Well, in my neck of the woods, and I'm glad to see you guys out of that hibernation that you guys were in for a couple of weeks, and I was beginning to worry about you guys. But absolutely, it's nice to see you guys back. I'm glad that we have a full house today and looking forward to an exciting episode.
And without further ado then, Austin, what is there to announce?
So our contact us at Blind Android Users email address is now live. So if you want to register for episode 75, you can email us at contactus@blindandroidusers.com. We are still rebuilding our website, so that will take some time. And the email address is working right now. So send in your demos or register or send your questions to that email address.
Thanks, Austin. And I think there was a phone you wanted to mention as well, a phone release, wasn't there?
Yeah, the OnePlus 10 Pro just launched, and I don't know why OnePlus decided to launch the phone with slightly different specs in US. Like the US people will only get a 65-watt charger, not an 80-watt charger. So I don't know why this is. Warren, do you have any more info to add?
I am trying so hard to mute my Espanol here because this is not. Well, frankly, I do not want to offend the OnePlus guys or OnePlus fans out there. But frankly, I don't. This OnePlus 10 does not, please me in any way. And most especially, if you're on T-Mobile, you're good to go. But if you're on other carriers like AT&T or maybe Verizon is thinking about certifying it. They are not sure. They're kind of playing with it or whatever. But so I don't know why OnePlus would release something that does not, cover all the networks here, and it doesn't have the mmWave or whatever that Verizon uses. So if you're on T-Mobile, yeah, but if not, I'm not going to worry about it. There are a lot of alternatives out there. So I say to kind of, maybe watch out for a while before you jump in if you want a OnePlus phone.
So
Other
how
than
have they
that,
done that? Because
huh?
Verizon CDMA, isn't it?
Yeah, but Verizon
Yeah.
supports, all the GSM phones as well.
Yeah, but if it's a GSM phone, how come it won't work on the other GSM networks? Is it the bands it doesn't have, or?
Well, AT&T, I don't know what AT&T is doing, but supposedly OnePlus didn't include some of the bands that the AT&T has or something like that, and so AT&T wouldn't even wink at it. So that's what it is. But another thing that, apart from OnePlus, I want to say goodbye to an old friend, if I may. Kind of makes it a little bit teary-eyed here. The Hangouts, Hangouts finally disappeared from the Play Store. Google finally took the axe to the Hangouts. So we say goodbye to an old friend.
Yep. Goodbye, Hangouts. At Austin, they came out within probably a week or two of each other. You've got some free dollars you can spend. Are you buying the OnePlus 10 Pro or the Xiaomi 12 Pro?
Yeah, both are with the 8th generation one. So it's if you have the OnePlus 9 Pro, I don't think there's any need for upgradation, because the only upgrade for the OnePlus 10 is the camera. There's a slight improvement there, but it's Snapdragon 8th generation one.
And what's the charge time for 80 watts? Because I know the Xiaomi 12 Pro is supposed to charge to 100% in 24 minutes.
The OnePlus 10 Pro is charging at 32 minutes.
Oh, okay. So if those 8 minutes are critical to you, then you
Yeah.
might want the Xiaomi.
I think the reason that they did this is because whoever owns OnePlus missed some meetings because they didn't realise that the US's clocks went forwards before everyone else's, and they got so cross that they said, right, I'm going to punish the whole US now. So that's why.
I think so. And OnePlus aren't the only ones to do this. Samsung, of course, give Europe the Xenos or Exynos processor, and everyone else gets the Snapdragon, which I've always thought is a bit unfair. So Samsung do it too. But yeah, two interesting phones to look at. Though primarily, obviously, we're talking about the OnePlus. But yeah, quite right. I think the US should be punished for putting its clocks forward early. Instead of aligning with the old country, which would be much better.
But at least the OnePlus Pro has the charger in the box, not like Samsung.
Yeah, this is true. OnePlus give you the wherewithal to do things with your phone.
And talking about that though, I don't know why Samsung would even remove the charger from the A53, for example. I think that's absolutely stupid. I don't know why.
They are even removing the charger from the M series phone, which is a mid-range series.
Presumably they do give you the cable though, but just not the plug for the wall. Is that right?
Yeah.
So they're copying Apple then, aren't they? Because Apple have started doing that. And it seems to be based on an assumption that everyone's upgrading their phone rather than getting a new one. So they won't need that bit for the wall because they'll already have it, which is fine for someone like me who would be upgrading a phone, but would be quite frustrating if you don't already have that.
That's the pretext. It's just a money-making scheme because they advertise as a feature set on the front page fast charging, which they know full well any old adapter you have won't support. So they claim environmental good just so they can charge you.
They do.
Exactly.
They can charge you for charging.
Yes. So the whole
Hard to
thing is
charge.
like Ed said, we take these things out and we turn around and sell them to you. So, and to me, I think that's more harm to the environment because you are shipping chargers in boxes that should have gone in one box. So hello.
And a lot of the chargers that they do ship with the phones aren't as good as they could be. So you would only be able to charge up your phone at the speeds they say with a better power adapter. So maybe they just think, well, if most people are going to upgrade that anyway, we won't give you the crummy power adapter. But who knows? Like you say, I think it might be a money-making thing as well.
Well, I mean, I look at me as a good example. I personally don't care if phones are coming with chargers or not, because I already have like 4 of them just sitting around my desk. So for me, it's not really a big deal, especially when 9 times out of 10, I actually end up using the same charger for my phone as I do for my computer. So,
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
not that bothered.
You
yeah,
shouldn't
like
be allowed to advertise charging speeds if they don't put the charger in, I don't think.
well, I think you have to inform the people as to what the phone has the potential to charge at, but make it clear that, charging speeds may vary depending on what you have as a charger. Because, and a good example is Samsung claims that the F20, the S20 Fan Edition can charge at like 25 watts, but yet I plug it into my computer charger, which is a 65, and it charges no problem at super fast speeds. So I think we have some more clarity that needs to come out as to what our phones are actually capable of being charged at, opposed to what they're tested at with the phone specific power brick.
But also, it would be good to know what you need in order for your phone to charge at that speed.
Exactly.
So that it's easy for people to then go on to Amazon or, whichever online store or, store in person, but it's usually cheaper online, they want, and buy the right charger. For example, I had a couple of wireless chargers for my birthday last year, and it said that if you want the wireless chargers to charge your phones and things at the full speed, you need to get a wall socket charging thing with a Q3 label on it. So that was quite helpful for me to find it. So yeah, that was good.
Now we move on to the Android Basics section, and we're turning our attention now to notifications. Warren, do you want to introduce this?
Happy to, Ed. And yes, notifications. We had a little bit of an introduction to what notifications are earlier on when we were dealing with the assistant segment, where we found it in the app section. And of course, here we are again. We find notifications here, which is the main subject matter here. And of course, everyone knows what notifications are. Those are the ding dong dings that we hear all the time. And it either annoys you or you get excited by it. And so today we're looking at notifications, and there are several items in here. But today we're going to be talking about a couple items. Ed is going to be demonstrating the app notifications, and I'll be talking about the device and app notification segment. And then next week, we'll look at some other items here, and probably we could say goodbye to notifications here. But notifications are important, and you can manage them here or manage them from the apps themselves. But today we're looking at the main notification area here.
We are indeed, and here is my demo of app settings notifications, where you go to control the notifications on a per app basis. Hello everyone, I'm Ed Green, and today I'm going to talk to you about notifications, and specifically app settings, which lets you control notifications from individual apps. So I am in my notification settings now, and the option we are looking for is
App settings, control notifications from individual apps.
So I'm going to double tap.
Settings, app notifications, out of list. Navigate up, button, search.
So the first option is you can search for an individual app whose notifications you want to configure or change. Before you do that, though, you should pay attention to the next control on this screen, which is
more options, button.
Sorry, actually not the next control. The second control along from the search field, which is
drop-down menu, most recent.
So at the minute, you have it set to most recent. That'll be default. So if we carry on swiping right, we would get into the list of apps which had sent notifications recently. Next to each of those is a toggle switch to turn notifications for that app on or off. I'm just going to double tap on here, though, and show you what else we have.
Pop-up window. Most recent and list. Most frequent.
If you want to see which apps send you notifications most frequently and sort your list that way, perhaps you want to configure that, but it hasn't sent you one for a little while, you would choose this.
All apps.
All apps is pretty self-explanatory. And the next option is also quite helpful, which is
Apps turned off.
apps turned off. So obviously those apps won't be on the screens which show you either your most recent or most frequent notifications because they're not sending you any notifications, they're turned off. So if you wanted to sort your list that way, you would do that. And this matters because how this control is set affects the search function. So I, for instance, don't have Facebook set to send me any notifications. So if I set the search either to most recent or most frequent and set this control to most recent or most frequent, then search for Facebook, it's not going to come up because Facebook isn't sending me any apps, any notifications. So I would instead need to either set it to all apps or all apps, or also apps turned off. I'm going to back out of this control.
Navigation bar, back, but settings, drop down menu, most recent.
Now, let's have a look at what sort of apps send me notifications, and I'm going to pick on 2 of them I want to show you.
Google Play Services, 4 minutes ago, and list. On, switch.
If I were to double tap there, it would turn off, as I said earlier, notifications for Google Play Services. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave it.
Messenger, 7 minutes ago.
I do want to show you Messenger, though. So I'm going to double tap.
Settings. Messenger, out of list. Navigate up, button. Messenger, and list. All Messenger notifications, on, switch.
So if I were to turn this, it is just a switch. There's no screen hidden behind it, as Talkback indicated, just by saying switch. So if I were to do this, it would literally turn everything off for Messenger. That's not what I want.
Conversations, heading. Bubbles, nothing can bubble.
I don't want my conversations to bubble, so I'm happy with that setting. Were we to explore it, though, let's see what we've got.
Bubbles. Navigate up. Messenger and list. Button. All conversations can bubble. Button. Selected conversations can bubble. Selected. Button. Nothing can bubble.
Pretty self-explanatory. If I were to select selected conversations, it would no doubt prompt me to select some conversations which I were happy to bubble. I don't want to do that.
Navigation bar, back, settings, bubbles, nothing can bubble, notifications, heading, show notifications, on, switch.
We want it to show notifications.
Chats, ~2 notifications per day, on, chats, switch.
So now we're in the different types of notifications that Messenger sends. And I'm going to show you what's on the screen and then we'll come back. And I'll explain why I don't really like this setup.
Calls, on, calls, switch. Admin. On, admin, switch. Stories. On, stories, switch.
So I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm going to go back up to chats and we'll see what we can configure. And you'll quickly see an issue, I think.
Chats, ~2. Settings. Chats, out of list.
So we're now in the chat.
Navigate up, but chats, messenger show notifications, on, switch.
We do want it to show them.
Selected, button, default, may ring or vibrate based on phone settings. Button, silent.
The 3 channels that you might have are silent, default, and priority. They basically govern the level of interruptibility that a notification can provide to the user. So a silent notification isn't going to do anything. It's not going to make a tone. It's not going to vibrate. It will pop up in the notification shade, and it might do some other things depending on what you set your silent notifications to do. Default governed obviously by your default settings, but it will probably ring, it will probably vibrate, it will take up a place in the notification shade. Priority will go to the top of your notification shade, regardless of when it came in. So if you have a priority notification and then a whole bunch of other things come in that are defaults, that priority one is going to stay at the top. Priority is also going to interrupt things like do not disturb, probably, unless you've configured it differently.
Sound. App provided sound.
So this is the reason I don't like how notifications are distributed in these settings. You'll notice that we had a setting for messages, we had calls, we had admin. So if you wanted to change the default notification sound for an app to something more distinctive, Messenger has its own distinctive ping anyway, or pudding almost for messages, you can't do it without changing every single different category of notification in the settings. It's quite annoying. You probably actually wouldn't want to with Messenger because you can receive phone calls, but let's say you didn't find Facebook's notifications annoying and you wanted Facebook to have a different sound to say messages, but you wanted all notifications for Facebook to have the same sound. You are going to have to configure every single notification type that Facebook can send you, and believe me, it's a lot. So quite why you can't configure an app's notification sound globally, I don't know. It's really annoying. You should be able to. So we've heard sound. We could go in and change this. I'll show you what the sound settings look like.
Complete action using sounds. Just once. Button. Out of list. Sounds. Sound. Default notification sound. Heading and list. None. Heading. Aldebaran. Alter. Alia. Antares. Antimony. Arcturus.
So various different things that my phone is providing me as notification sounds. So I could change Messenger's notification sound. I don't really want to, so I'm going to back out.
Navigation bar. Back. Button. Out of list. Settings. Sound. App provided sound. And list. Vibration. On. Switch.
I do want it to vibrate. I'll leave that.
Lock screen. Show sensitive content only when unlocked. Blink light. On. Switch.
The sensitive content when unlocked is what I want. I have that set across all my apps. I have it set globally. You can, though, configure that on an app-by-app basis, as you'll see here.
Show notification dot. On. Switch. Interrupts in priority only. Let these notifications continue to interrupt when do not disturb is on. Off. Switch. Additional settings in the app.
And that's it. That's it for Messenger. I'm going to back out of here.
Navigation bar. Back. Button. Out of list. Settings. Chats. ~2 notifications per day. And list.
And the rest of this screen is just different notifications that Messenger can send you. We've already looked at some of these. I'm going to show you one more. And we're going to take a little tangential diversion out of notification settings for part of this, because it's not easy to do what you might want to do in this next app from notification settings. But I'll show you its settings first.
Navigation bar. Back. Button. Settings. Messages. 37 minutes ago.
Messages is the one I want. Google Messages. Here we are. I'm going to double tap.
Settings. Messages. Out of list.
And what I want to show you, and that you can't really do from here, but is to how you change the notification sound for an individual conversation. You might be forgiven for thinking that you should be able to do it from here, but you can't do it at least reliably. So I'll just show you this screen. It's very similar to Messengers.
Navigate up. Button. Messages. And list. All messages notifications. On. Switch. Conversations. Heading.
So here, it's picked a couple of conversations that are possibly the most frequent. There aren't many listed here. So we could probably do what we wanted to for the conversations listed, but in order to change a notification for a conversation that's not listed in this next bit, you need to go to the Messages app. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to come out of the settings.
Messages.
There we are. I'm going to go into Messages.
Messages. Search places. Edit. Navigate up. Button. Start chat. More options. But unread from that. Dad. Text. O2. Edit box. Out of list convert.
I've opened a conversation from my dad. And what I want to do is to change the default notification sound, or at least to show you how you might do that. So I'm going to go into more options.
More conversation options. Button.
More conversation options in this case. Here we go.
Pop-up window. Details and list.
And details is what we want.
Details. Navigate up. Button. Details. Options and list. Notifications. App settings. Notifications.
Notifications is what we want.
Settings. Dad. Out of list. Navigate up. Button. Dad. Messages. Button. Priority. Selected. Button. Default. Button. Silent. Pop on screen. When device is unlocked. Show notifications as a banner across the top of the screen. On. Switch. Sound. Default notification sound.
So here is where I would change it. I've shown you that screen already. So if you want a conversation to have a different notification to the default, this is what you do. You go into the Messages app, you open that conversation, you hit More Conversation Options, which is the typical top right located button, usually called More Options. Choose Details, choose Notifications, and choose Notification Sound. That, folks, is a brief tour through this section of notification settings. I'll highlight this in my demo, but one thing that I find a bit annoying about notifications is that where an app offers a lot of categories of notifications and you want that app to have a specific notification sound different to all your other apps, there doesn't seem to be a global way to do it for the app. So if it's Facebook, you have to go in and change every category of notification to that sound. There's no kind of global sound for Facebook, which you could then disapply on a category by category basis. I wonder why that is.
So the whole idea here is that the notifications here that we see, maybe like in apps that you see notifications here in the notification areas, basically, I'll say like bare bones, but of course in there you could see where you could go into the app itself. But I don't use Facebook, but Twitter comes to mind. Twitter is one of those convoluted items that is so hard to set its different notifications in place. You will not find those within the app itself. For example, you have to come to the notifications and then come in here and then be able to manage those in here. So it depends on the app. Some of these apps kind of very complicated for some reason. So, but this is a good place to start. But then, of course, the apps themselves will further give you more customizations because this area may not have some certain things. But so I don't know why we have these things, but it's what it is.
I covered this a little bit in having to go into the app. So I also tacked on to the end of my demo how you can set specific notification sound for different conversations in Google Messages. You can sort of do that here, but it will only show you one or two frequent conversations and you have to go into the Messages app. So that's a prime example of what Warren was talking about. Fee, were you going to come in?
Yeah, presumably in notifications, it's not just the chimes, but also the, for example, my phone tells me with speech whenever there's a new email, and I'm hoping that I can listen to your demo and learn how to stop that because I want it to go ding when there's an email. But if I'm in the middle of something else, I really don't want to hear the speech. You know, I'll go ding, oh good, there's an email, and then I'll read that when I want. I don't want all that verbiage.
Yeah, you can probably. I didn't look at email notifications specifically. I looked at Messenger and Messages, but you should be able to do that by looking at the banners it puts up or what it does and turning some of those off.
So it's a banner, is it? Is that what they call that thing that causes it to show somewhere on the screen? It must show somewhere on the screen for it to read that out.
Could be a banner. Worth going in to see what because each email client will be different. So if you go in here, have a look at that email and turn everything off that's not a sound and see if that helps.
I'll give it a go and let everyone know how I got on. In fact, I could record that actually if you want, if that would be useful.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Why don't you do that? See what you manage to turn off. I've got to say, I don't, because I'm on a fair few email lists, I don't have my email app notifying me because it would ding quite a bit. So I have throttled its notifications and it's not allowed. It's banned.
And I think that takes us then to my part of the demonstration, and this probably covers some of the things that Fee's talking about, device and app notifications. And here's where you could give access or, allow certain things to have access to your notification. For example, as I describe or demonstrate in my demonstration here, So let's go ahead and take a listen to this, and maybe this might be what you're looking for or not looking for, or answers to the questions that you may have. This is demonstrating device and app notifications. For this demonstration, I'll be using the Pixel 4 running Android 12 and Talkback 12.1. For speech services, I am employing the Google services. I am now in the notification center, and now we'll move to the item that I'm talking about, and that will be the device and app notifications. In other words, we're talking about apps that can read your notifications. So, for example, if you would like your messages to be read out loud, you would want to allow the Google services, for example, to be able to read your notifications, or otherwise, when you ask for your messages to be read, you will get a message that will tell you you need to allow that in order to happen. Here's what I'm talking about, and we'll see some of those apps that are allowed. I know that I've allowed a lot of these apps, but you can disable them if you don't want to. Here's what I'm talking about.
Device and app notifications. Control which apps and devices can read notifications.
Let's go ahead and tap here.
Device and app notifications. Navigate up. Button, out of list.
I am now in the list of apps that could read our notifications, and some of these would include the following.
Allowed, heading, in list.
Under the allowed heading, we've got the following.
Android Auto.
Android Auto for those of you that drive.
Google Play Services.
Google Play Services.
Free Notifications Reader. Google. Android System Intelligence. Pixel Stand. Pixel Launcher. Wear OS by Google. Wise. Wise.
I have two Wise entries, and the reason why is because I have the Wise cameras and also have the Wise stand.
Not allowed, heading.
Now we have a heading that says not allowed. In other words, the app below here or apps below here will be those that are not allowed to have access to my notifications.
Fight Electric. Showing items 1 to 13 of 13.
Feed Electric is a smart bulb app, and that one is not allowed. Let's go ahead and look at one of these things that are allowed so you'll understand what I'm talking about.
Pixel Stand.
Let's tap on Pixel Stand.
Device and app notifications. Navigate up. Button, out of list.
I'll put my finger down to read the information.
Allow notification access. On, switch, in list. Real-time, ongoing communication from apps in use, navigation, phone calls, and more, checked, checkbox.
You can further customize these things.
Conversations, SMS, text messages, and other communications, checked, checkbox.
Keep going.
Notifications, may ring or vibrate based on settings, checked, checkbox.
Next.
Silent, notifications that never make sound or vibrations, checked, checkbox.
And that's the last one. So like I said earlier, for example, if you want your messages to be read when they come, then you'll have to allow Google, for example, in order to be able to hear those notifications read, or when you ask, read my messages. That is what this is all about, and I hope that by now you understand the usage of this feature.
Thank you, Warren. One thing I was quite interested, I'm not sure whether this showed up in yours or not. When I was briefly looking in this section, I saw that Commentary had access to read my notifications, but Talkback wasn't listed. Is that because it's handled differently, do you think?
You are right. Talkback is not listed in there. Of course, I don't have Commentary, so I'm glad you saw that Commentary has access to it. But so the whole idea is that what apps can have access to this. And frankly, I wouldn't want my screen reader to have access to this, because then you'll be constantly hearing about things that I don't want to hear about, and most especially if I have my screen off and things like that. So I don't know, but maybe there's some customization in commentary that also prevents that from happening. But I'm glad we don't have Talkback having access to that. And like I said, listening to my demonstration, this makes it clear as to what this section does. Because if you want to be able to read your messages, or say, hey Google, read my messages, or Assistant, read my messages. So what this section does is making it possible to be able to say, you use the magic word and say, read my messages, or read my last messages, or something. And if you don't have that big G having access to it, then it will tell you, I can't do it because I don't have access to it. And it's a good thing. And most especially if you're going to be like in the car using the Android Auto or something of that nature, those things come in very handy. But you can further go in there and customize what they can have access to and things they should have access to, because once you give them that permission, then they have access to a lot of things. And you could choose which ones you want them to have access to and which ones not to have access to. So it's a good thing. I like it. So play with this area and get familiar with it and know what you need and what you don't need.
The talkback thing and commentary, that's quite interesting, because I find that when I turn my screen on and unlock my phone, that's when I have all these emails and things suddenly being read to me, and I'm like, stop it, I just want to read my Telegram or WhatsApp or whatever. So yeah, it doesn't do it when the screen isn't turned on. I might have turned that off somewhere in the settings. I really can't remember.
I have my notifications totally turned off. So on my lock screen, there's no notifications. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear, you got an email. I manually launch my email if I want to check my email. So I don't want my notifications all cluttered with that kind of stuff.
I want to hear the ding noise, but that's it. I don't want to read the...
Yeah,
I don't want to
so
read
if you
the,
don't want it to read, then that section I demonstrated would be where you want to go in there and further customize that and exclude the things that you don't want, it having access to.
Okay. Thank you.
Now we turn to the app of the week, and Brandon is here to demonstrate Nekogram.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brandon here, demonstrating Nekogram. And I've got the app open. This is the latest version, 8.6. All you need to do is look up Nekogram from the Play Store, Nekogram. Now, the interface is fairly straightforward. It looks exactly like the Telegram interface, but controls are labeled that were unlabeled in the regular Telegram app. So I'll just show you the things that make Nekogram better. Let's
Group search button out of list.
Let's find the
open search open navigation menu button.
Double tap.
Brandon Hennis calls. Save message settings. Double tap.
Settings.
Brand bio. Neko settings.
Neko settings.
Neko's accessibility settings. Experimental. Double tap to activate.
Okay, there's experimental first of all.
Not checked. Checkbox. Unlimited favorite stickers. Not checked. Checkbox. Disable sensitive content filtering. Display sensitive media in public channels on all your devices. Checked. Not checked. Checkbox. Map drifting fix for checked. Checkbox. Code syntax highlight. Not checked. Checkbox. Disable not checked. Delete checked. Checkbox. Keep text formatting when delete Telegram account. Double tap. Not checked. Checkbox. Toast all RPC errors. Exceptions. File _ reference _ expired. Checked. Not checked. Checkbox. Unlimited pin dialogues. Pin unlimited dialogues by turn their sync off. Not checked. Checkbox. Unlimited favorite stickers. Add unlimited navigation overview back.
Okay, so let's go to
experiment chat.
Let's go to chat.
Check. Not checked. Checked. Not checked. Checkbox, voice enhancements, noise suppression and voice normalization. Checked, checkbox, checked, checkbox, HQ voice messages. Double checked, checkbox, notebook forward. Not checked, checkbox, delete downloaded file. Checked, checkbox, repeat. Double tap to talk. Not checked, checked, checkbox, translate. Not checked, checkbox, view history. Not checked, checkbox, Veriboro. Not checked, checkbox, details. Not checked, checkbox, copy photo. No. Not checked, checkbox, edit admin rights. Not checked, checkbox, report. Not checked, checkbox, change permissions. Double tap to navigate back, but official channel, accessibility.
Now here's where the fun starts.
Type accessibility setting, type of rewind, settings of rewind, disabled. Type of rewind, type of rewind of video, rewind. Seek bar settings, checked. Seek bar settings, checked. Checkbox, show number of items. Checked. Checkbox, show current position. Checked. Checkbox, announce changes of value during manual changes. Delay before announcing of changing of seek bar value. Different. Add information about type of chat at the start. Checked. Checkbox, add notes for links. Not checked. Checkbox, hide links for screen readers. Hide links for screen reader. Accessibility settings, out of list. Not checked. Checkbox, hide.
So
Navigation bar, back, button. Setting, Neko settings. Navigation bar, back. Nekogram, screen off. Double tap to activate.
So the interaction is pretty basically the same. The voice message quality is, think of our voice quality now. When you record a voice message, the voice message quality on a computer and other devices is usually 44.1K. Well, the regular Telegram app produces audio in 16K. So this allows us to hear much clearer audio in 44K on Androids as well. So you get a better feel for the mic quality. So that's a short introduction to Nekogram. Find it on the Play Store and have fun with it.
One of the nice things about Telegram is it does open its APIs quite well for other developers to make clients. So we've covered previously that Voxmate works with Telegram, and Nekogram is obviously another client that many people prefer over the Telegram client. There's been quite a lot of chat about that on our group this week. So if you like the sound of that from Brandon's demo, do go check that out. The link's in the show notes.
And I think what I like about it, even though I don't have it on my main driving unit, I have it on an old device. The guy actually did an extra job by, going a mile farther and having an accessibility section there in the settings of the app. So that shows the guy's dedication to accessibility, and therefore Nekogram is a good app. I just haven't installed it on my main unit, but I have it on my other device that I don't use as a phone, and it's good. And so listen to Brandon and see if it's something you want to use.
So why would I use that instead of the normal Telegram? I know about Voxmate, that it's a much simpler interface. Is this simpler?
It could be. Well, it's not as simple as, Voxmate, because, we all know what Voxmate is all about. But I think the reason why some of the people like this is because it has voice enhancement in there. And apart from the fact that it's accessible, I think those may be the two reasons why people may like it. And but I mean, for me right now, the native Telegram client works. So I'm using that, but now and then I look at Nekogram again to see what the differences are. So, but it's good to see that we have that. And I think another thing though is the fact that in the native Telegram client, the secret chat is not accessible to us screen readers. However, with Nekogram, that secret chat is accessible to us. John and I tried it, so we like We like it. And the only thing, though, is that if I send you a secret chat fee, for example, or send Ed or Doug a secret chat, for example, and I time that thing or set it to 1 minute or 2 minutes or whatever, or 5 seconds, whatever, the thing is that you can actually turn that off at your end and turn off the timing that I set. So I just don't know why the guy did it that way, but it's a good thing to know that we have the secret chat accessible to those of us who are blind.
Secret chat? That
Yeah.
sounds intriguing.
Oh, baby. Yeah.
I don't know anything about that. I wonder if it's in the app demo. Maybe we need to talk about. That sounds intriguing. I'm very happy recently for many reasons, but one of them is that kind of the main competitor to Telegram, WhatsApp, if I have more than one messages from somebody now, it reads them one after the other, and it never used to do that. And that makes me very, very happy.
Great, because it's been over a year I quit using WhatsApp, and I don't think there's enough for me to be wooed back into using WhatsApp. I'm done with WhatsApp for good.
The thing is, it depends what a lot of your friends use, though, doesn't it? I think Telegram's much better for groups because you don't have to give people your phone number to be in the group, whereas in WhatsApp, you do. And I think in terms of privacy, that's quite nice in Telegram. Yeah, that's nice. You can just have a username.
We close this week with Warren's highlights from Talkback.
We continue now with our theme of highlights from Talkback. This is installment 31. In our last installment 30, we concluded the one-finger angle gestures where we saw the drawing of a line right and curving down to bring down the notification shade. Today, I'll be starting a series on the multi-finger gestures, and we'll be starting with the two-finger tap. If you happen to have a phone that does not support the multi-finger gestures, this action or this gesture may not be applicable to you. For those of you using phones that do not support these gestures, this is where we say goodbye. However, you can always use those traditional two-finger gestures of swiping up or down to move through vertical pages and swiping left or right to move through those horizontal pages. For today's demonstration, I'll be using my Pixel 4 running Android 12 and Talkback 12.1. I will now invoke the Talkback menu by tapping with 3 fingers to invoke the Talkback menu.
Talkback menu.
We are now in the Talkback menu. The item that I'm looking for next will be the Talkback settings. I will now put my finger down and tap on Talkback settings.
Talkback settings in list.
Here is Talkback settings, and I'll tap here to activate.
Talkback settings. Navigate up. Button out of list.
We are now in the Talkback settings. And if you're familiar with this series, you know that the next thing we want to do here is to simply scroll down the page. We put 2 fingers down in the middle of the phone and then gliding them upwards. And by doing so, we are actually scrolling down the page. Doing the opposite of that would be gliding the fingers downwards, which scrolls up the page. I will now put my 2 fingers down, glide them upwards, and scroll down the page.
Showing items 3 to 14 of 14.
Now what I'm looking for here is an item that says Customize Gestures. I'll put my finger down and tap on Customize Gestures.
Customize gestures.
Here is Customize Gestures. We'll tap here to activate Customize Gestures.
Customize gestures. Navigate up. Button out of list.
We are now on the gesture customization page. This is when I'll change my granularity to the heading's granularity. We change our granularities in one of 3 ways. 1. We could put down one finger and scrub up and down in one fluid movement to change the granularity. The second method would be to swipe down with 3 fingers from the top of the phone, and that will also change our granularity. The last method would be to either swipe from left or right with 3 fingers to change those granularities. I tend to prefer the scrubbing using the one finger movement, and thus I will now scrub up and down with one finger to change my granularity to the heading's granularity.
Links. Controls.
I'll swipe up and down again.
Headings.
There we are on the heading's granularity. What I will do next is to swipe down with one finger and keep doing so till I get to the heading that I'm after, and that would be the 2 finger gesture headings. Here I go. I'll swipe down.
One finger. Heading. In list.
This is the one finger. Swipe down again.
One finger back and forth. Heading.
One finger back and forth, and the last of those one finger gestures would be
one finger angle. Heading. Showing items 7 to 16 of 51.
And that's the last one that we dealt with. Now I'll swipe down again one more time and get to the 2 finger headings gesture. There is my 2 finger gesture heading. Now instead of swiping down, we need to swipe from left to right to get to the items belonging to this particular heading. You can either swipe from left to right to move through the items, or simply move your finger downwards and we're going to get the item that says 2 fingers. I'll now move my finger downwards and find that first item underneath this heading.
Tap with 2 fingers. Pause or resume speech.
Tap with 2 fingers. Pause or resume speech. In other words, if you happen to be reading an article, for example, and you want to pause for a second or for a minute or whatever, all that needs to happen is simply tap with 2 fingers. That pauses what you are reading, and then tapping again with 2 fingers resumes from where you left off. I'll now go ahead and find something and demonstrate that. I'll go back home here, find some article or find something within Google Chrome and try to demonstrate that. I'll now exit out of here.
Pixel Launcher. Folder. Browsers, 4 or more items.
Here is my browsers folder, and I'll tap here.
Chrome.
Here's Chrome, I'll tap.
5%. Progress bar. Chrome. Google Assistant, your own personal Google, WebView. 80%.
There I am on this page talking about the Google Assistant. I'll put my finger down to let it start reading.
Google Assistant is built to keep your information private, safe and secure.
Now tap with 2
Heading
fingers.
2.
Actually, I'm going to triple tap to let it continue reading.
When you use Google Assistant, you trust us with your data,
Now I'm
and
going to
it's our
tap once with
responsibility
2
to
fingers
protect
to
and
pause.
respect it. Privacy is personal. That
pauses. I tap again with 2 fingers to resume.
privacy controls to help you choose what's right for you. Explore this page to learn more about how Google Assistant works, your built-in privacy controls, answers
Tap
to
again.
common questions.
And that pauses the speech. And that's how you go about using the 2 finger tap to either pause or resume speech. As always, you could always change this if you don't like this gesture. In other words, you could reassign this to an angular gesture or some other gesture if that's what you prefer. And that's the 2 finger tap to either pause or resume reading.
Austin, where can people find us?
For people to locate us, they can email us with their questions or feedback or comments or recording submissions to contact us at blindandroidusers.com. They can browse our website, blindandroidusers.com. Check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/blindandroidusers. Subscribe to our mailing list, Blind Android Users, plus subscribe at groups.io. The links for Telegram and Twitter, Clubhouse will be in the show notes with all the other links. So that is it from us this week.
That's it from us, folks, this week. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Later.
Thanks for listening to another clip from the Blind Android Users channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you're notified of every new material that we upload. Thanks again for listening to the Blind Android Users channel.